Okay, YouTube, welcome back to Prison Architect Alpha 23. We are working on utilities, getting them repaired, since I did such a mess of them when I first installed them. And it's coming along. I mean, the workers are a little slow because my computer is like, holy smokes, dude, why are you making me do so much stuff? Sorry there, computer. It's funny, you know, it's, granted this is an alpha, and I know that optimization is always one of the last things that you kind of do. So I don't want anyone to take this as me being as a complaint or a criticism. I know it's on their list to optimize, but it's always funny to me. Games like this, or Kerbal Space Program early in its alpha, Minecraft when it was an alpha. You know, all these games that have kind of simple graphics just completely chew through your CPU because there's, I mean, it's early alpha, so there's like no optimization being done for the most part. I mean, I don't know what game engines they all use. I know some of them have been using Unity, and I mean, Unity is multi-purpose for multi-platform, so it's not going to be optimized all that well to begin with just by using Unity. And I know myself from, as I mentioned, my own computer science background, how difficult it can be to get into things like optimization. But yeah, it's amusing to me to think, you know, you look at a game like this versus a game like, you know, some of the latest first-person shooters or what have you, and it's like, you know, that the first-person shooter, okay, it's not calculating the paths of, you know, 250 plus autonomous, this is going to not have enough power, 250 plus autonomous people, or you know, digital people, I people, or E people, or whatever you want to call them. So I mean, in that respect, it has an easier time, but I mean, just from a visual, you know, perspective, you look at it and you think, how is Call of Duty, or, you know, whatever, Skyrim, able to run so flawlessly when these simple games just get so bogged down? And it really does come down to that optimization, which is quite often, and to be completely honest, one of the final steps you do, because you never, I mean, if something's early and you start optimizing, you start removing features, now you gotta remember that you put optimization in for those features that needs to get removed. So like I said, it's not a complaint or a criticism, it's a remark that I find amusing. At how drastically different you can get from two different games, one of which, you know, is like cutting edge graphics, latest and greatest, and one which uses, you know, animated sprites, which is kind of older technology. But I mean, you never would have felt like, could you imagine a game in the 80s that had friggin' 300 autonomous thinking people that all needed their own pathfinding and their own AI and their own prioritization? And it's certainly something like this. You know, while I comment that it's not odd, that it's amusing to me, how the optimization is so different from a finished product versus an alpha product. That's really what we're talking about in this comparison, right? Is an alpha versus a finished product. It's amusing to me. In no way am I, like I said, in no way am I complaining. And I would hate for anyone to think I was. I'd hate for anyone to be like, oh, this guy's such a whiner. This game is amazing. It's incredible. I can't wait to see the state it's going to be in when it finally is released. I think a lot of people who are frustrated now, possibly, at its performance will be amazed once all the optimization is in at how efficient things can get. But yeah, I do find it amusing. I absolutely do find it amusing. And it's all math, right? That's the problem. Is all this is just calculations. Your computer's just doing math after math after math. I remember I took computer science. The thing that made me want to actually take it, like, you know, if you're going to study something, there's various reasons why, right? You're good at it. You think you can make money at it, you know, so on and so forth. One of the big motivators for me is that I wanted to understand how computers worked. I'm like, all they do is math, and yet you end up with like graphics on a screen. How does that even work? How do even like letters work? Like back in the days of, you know, Commodore 64, if I show my age a little bit, How is that even possible? That just the text could show up. How does that even work? You know, it was mind-blowing to me. And that was one of the big reasons why I got into computer science, was to kind of get some explanation of exactly how that worked. And I remember I was in my first year, and I bumped into. I should also mention before I get into the story. At the university I went to, you couldn't declare computer science as a major in your first year. You had to enroll in general sciences with no declared major. I suppose you could always change your major, right? But the point is you couldn't just go straight into computer science. So I had to go in with no declared major. And then I did, hang on, let me do some quick. I'm going to do, I think saws go first if I'm mistaken. So I'm going to do saw and press. Table over here. I should be able to do saw and press there. Yep, okay. This is acceptable to me. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, my first year. It was good times. Good times indeed. So you couldn't declare your major. You had to take some basic courses first. So I went ahead and I was accepted into general sciences, and I took the basic courses that everybody has to take as part of general science. So I took an English course, and I had to take a basic math course, but I kind of cheated, and I took one of the ones I needed if I was going to go computer science anyway. So I took matrices. I don't know if you're from a different place, you might not call it matrices, you might call it matrices. I don't know if that plural is localized or not. But yeah, matrices, which is like part of algebra, and of course I had to take algebra as well. And it was two courses. It was linear algebra and vector geometry was one course, and then the next course was matrices. So that's what I took for my math requirements. I only needed to do one of them, but I did two, because that's how I roll. So I took that, and then I did. I can actually set this as staff. Can I? Excellent. What are you guys even doing back here? Oh, you're installing capacitors, right? That's fine. I'm going to set this back to normal, because workers aren't really going to be going back there very often. So I took the two math courses. I took my English course, and this is all coming along. Yeah, excellent. And then then you can start taking electives. So even if you're not going to pursue computer science, you can still take Introduction to Computer Science. And a lot of people do. Like people who want to be teachers, for example, they take it because then they can teach computer science. Which is basically, in high school, is basically programming. That's pretty much all you learn, unless it's changed. I took computer science in high school, and I have some family friends who have kids who are younger than me, who have been in high school recently, and to my understanding, it is still basically just programming, at least in Canada and the US, unless it's changed. So Introduction to Computer Science was just programming. So I took Computer Science 101, which was Introduction to Computer Science, and then there was Introduction to Computer Science 2, which was Computer Science 102, and at the time, both of those were Java. Sorry, not Java, they were both C++. They are now Java. I know that some other schools use Python. For example, MIT, I believe, teaches Python as part of their first year Introduction to Computer Science or computer programming or whatever they call it. They use Python. But yeah, they use Java now at my university, and when I went through it was C++. So I learned C++ programming. And is no one going to hire these guys that are just walking around carrying trays? No? Because they're carrying trays, or what? I don't... Hang on, I'll finish my story once I kind of figure out what's going on here. Someone get these guys to drop their trays so that they can get healed, please. I have no idea what's going on. No idea at all. Are these jobs going to get done, or are they just bugged now? But yeah, so I got into computer science because I had these questions that I wanted answered, and no one could seem to. None of the courses I was taking seemed to answer them. But I was walking down the hall one day. This is where the story picks up. Now I'll give you the background. I was walking down the hall one day. It seems really loud. I don't know if you can hear me while I'm doing this. I was walking down the hallway one day and I bumped into my professor from Computer Science 102. This is when I was in 102, the second part of the course. And he recognized me and he was, oh, hey, how's it going? And I was like, oh, good. How are you? And he's like, you're in, I think you're in my class, Computer Science. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, how do you like it? So that's what I kind of told him. I was like, wow, it's not what I expected. He was like, oh, what did you expect? So I was to tell him, like, oh, I thought computer science was going to be like, you know, understanding how computers work, more so than, you know, just programming them. And he kind of laughed and he was like, yeah, it's funny. The programming part is like such a small part of computer science, and yet that's all we seem to focus on for the very beginning little bits. And the worst part is you actually are you're a much better programmer once you have covered the other things. So, you know, it was kind of an interesting chat. He asked me what kind of stuff I was interested in. I said, well, I'd really like to get into artificial intelligence. That's kind of an interesting thing for me. And these guys are totally bugged. It says they're sitting, if you can believe that. Do they look like they're sitting to you? Let's try this. Is that going to fix them? Oh, yes it does. Oh. There we go. So that's all I got to do is give them some solitary. Fair enough. Alright. Fixed. Bug resolved. Alright, so yeah, so he asked me, like, well, what are you interested in? And I said, well, you know, so I explained the whole, like, I wanted to understand how something that can only do math can end up putting letters on a screen, or, you know, drawing complex graphics and moving sprites along a line and that type of stuff. Not to program it, you know, not to understand how to use a program, you know, like not to be able to pull up Unity 3D and just do it, but to actually understand it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. I think this is how big. Yeah, this is how I usually do it. I always make my workshops roughly the same size, so that's why I have some semblance of how big you need to make my spaces here to even things out. And he was like, oh, you're looking for, you know, and then he started rattling off names of courses. He's like, you're going to want to take digital logic and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, excellent. You're going to want to take digital logic and hardware architecture and computer design and compiler construction. And he started naming all these like 400 level courses, and I was like, I had been through the like course listings, so I knew what these courses were, and I knew they were all 400 level courses, which is like 4th year. And I was like, well, I don't have enough credits. Like, by the time I can take 4th year courses, I'm not going to be able to, you know, I'm going to be graduate already. He was like, no, I teach half of them, so you come see me, and I write you a letter for the dean of admissions, and they let you take the courses, even though, you know, it might say that you need 6 300 level courses and, you know, 4 400 level courses, but you could just do 10 400 level courses as long as you have the prerequisites, or the professor's willing to waive the prerequisites. She's like, you just come see me, we fill out the forms. Because it turned out he was also the dean of computer science. He was like, you come see me, we fill out the forms, and then if you don't want to, you don't take any 300 level courses. So that's what I did. I ended up taking like compiler construction, hardware architecture, and like memory. I can't even remember the names of half the courses I took. But the strange thing about it was like, by the time I was ready to graduate, and I didn't graduate, I ended up getting a career offer that I couldn't refuse in the career that I do now. So I didn't actually graduate with my degree, but I got very close. I'm only a few courses short. And by the time I was ready to graduate, so but like at the point I'm at now, I would say of my non-elective, like of my non-required courses, that's not even the right way to say it either. If you only look at my computer science and my math, I have more math than I have computer science. And a lot of them were requirements to complete the courses I was in. But a lot of them, it was just like, I ended up kind of, I wouldn't say becoming friends with the dean, because he was the dean, right? But I mean, I certainly would go to his office every year, come like time to pick your courses, and be like, what courses should I take? He was kind of like an advisor that way for me. And every single time I went to see him, he was like, oh, you should totally take this math course, and you should take that math course, and you should take this math. And I was like, what's with all the math, dude? But yeah, the thing is, if you know math, you don't even need to know computer science. Because if you know enough math, then the computer part just makes sense. It all follows the same. It's just math. If you know math, you know computers. It's really the only way to put it. They're one and the same. But that's my story on computers and my history with them. I really hope, is someone going to take up this patrol? According to this, someone is already patrolling it. I think you are lying, sir. I see nobody on this patrol route. What is going on? What? Ah, here we go. Okay, there, someone's coming. All right, good. So that's fixed. Okay, so we are ready. The workshop is set up. Did I assign people to work in the workshop? I did. Excellent. I need to build the classroom. I need to... I've already set people to work there. I've set the guard patrols in there as well, right? I have. Okay, so I need to build a classroom and set up my reform programs. And that will complete all of this stuff. Then we can carry on with the building of cells. Okay, but that's going to be in a future episode. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like. It really helps with the search rankings, and it keeps my channel growing, and I certainly appreciate it. If you'd like to see more content from me, don't forget to subscribe as well. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.